Hey, I'm Alex Ratcliffe from Board Game Co. And today I'm reviewing Marvel Zombies Heroes Resistance from Command Games, and Spin Master, and Guillotine Games, and Marvel. There's like 14 logos on the box. Marvel Zombies Heroes Resistance. This is the 1-4 player version of Marvel Zombies. For those who don't know, let's cover some background here. This is Marvel Zombies. This is a Zombicide game. Zombicide typically from Command and from Guillotine Games. This is also, so this is based on Marvel, this is based on Zombicide, but also this is the smaller box version of the larger Marvel Zombies that was on Kickstarter that will have its own giant box version. So this is a version of Marvel Zombies, basically. This particular version I bought on Amazon for $35. That's where you can probably get your hands on it. I assume other places as well, possibly Walmart. I don't really know, but it is cheaper. If you're looking for an accessible Zombicide game that will give you a much cheaper and pretty solid Zombicide experience with the Marvel Zombies on top of it as well, this is solid. Well, let's go ahead, now that we, I guess, have some basic idea of the fact that this is not your typical Zombicide, I'm going to go ahead, talk about the game, get into it, how it plays, all that stuff, as well as, of course, my thoughts, my review, all opinion, all of that, and then, of course, there'll be a timestamp, not of course, there'll also be a timestamp for why I feel differently about this than I do the full Marvel Zombies game, which I have had the opportunity to play. So, with that, and timestamps to everything down below, let's go ahead and get started. This is Marvel Zombies. This is a 1-4 player cooperative experience in which you are playing as a team of heroes. You'll have your hero cards, you'll have your experience meters, you'll have your stat trackers, and you're playing as this team of heroes trying to accomplish the specific scenario objectives. To that end, you have this little rulebook over here that doubles as both a rulebook as well as all the scenario objectives, which is why when you first open this up, try not to be too intimidated because it's not 31 pages long, it's only a mere 20 pages long. Mere 20 pages, but like once you get past setup and all that stuff, that's like 15 pages of rules. It's not that bad, and then 10 pages of scenarios in the back. Each scenario will give you a setup, a little this thing over here as far as how the game gets set up, where the heroes start, where the various spawn points are, the objectives, the doorways, all of that things, how to arrange the map tiles. You will have all of that in the scenario setup, as well as the scenario objectives. Are you trying to escape, rescue people, get bystanders, all those things? You'll have the scenario objectives in the game, and then from there, you will go through the process of trying not to die. That's basically what Marvel Zombies is. It is you trying not to die. To that end, on your turn, you're going to go ahead and take 3 actions per hero. Every hero over here, there's going to be 4, no matter what the player count is. You control 4 heroes collectively. If you're playing as 1 player, you control all 4. If you're playing as 4 players, you each control 1. If you're playing as 2 players, you probably each control 2, unless you're playing with your really weird friend Jack, who refuses to let you control more than 1 character. And if you're playing as 3 players, well, that's where it gets a bit awkward and you'll have to negotiate as far as how to navigate that additional character. Past that, you're going to go through the sequence of each character taking their actions. You'll go ahead and flip these tokens down as you take your actions. Wasp will go ahead and take 3 actions, and the actions you can take in Marvel Zombies are, well, there's a few, but I'll cover the main ones. There's like trading and things, and all these things, actually, I don't even know, I guess there is still trading, but you'll go through the main actions are going to be moving, so you're going to move around the boards, you can take your character, and you can move a zone. Ta-da! That's going to be an opportunity over there. Past that, you also have the opportunity to try to open doors, so now from over here, I can go ahead, now that I'm in this zone, I can try to take an action to open this door over here and break down that door. You're going to go ahead and open it up, you'll take that action, and then from there you'll spawn zombies in the rooms. Whenever you go ahead and open doors, you'll spawn zombies in the rooms, in addition, of course, to the zombies that will spawn at the end of every single round. So again, we have moving, we have opening doors, and then we also have attacking, which is going to be one of the most common actions you take in the game. So attacking is going to be one of the more common actions you take, where you look at your particular character and their particular attack. This is a wasp sting attack that attacks from 0 to 1 range. It rolls 2 dice and it hits on a 3+. That's going to be additional action. You'll look at the horde of zombies, which right now we don't have any in front of us, but once she opens that door, we may go ahead and have a token spawn. So we'll have a door open over here. We'll spawn a bunch of zombies based on the cards. We'll show you how that plays out shortly. But basically, you're going to go ahead and look through this deck of cards when you open a door or when you have zombie spawns. You'll reveal what spawns based on the current experience level, which is defined by your characters. So starting off on blue, and we'll explain more about that shortly. From there, now you can go ahead and try attacking like you said already. You roll some dice, you see what you hit on. Ta-da, we hit 2 dice, 2 hits, that's perfect. We can go ahead and take down this big bat over here because even though they're strength 2, we hit 2 hits, so we can go ahead and knock them down, gaining an experience on our dial as follows. That's going to be our experience dial. This will help us get additional abilities that we start. We start with a level 1 ability over here, and then you'll get additional abilities as you move across the various zones. So again, move, open doors, attack. Then we also have powering up. Powering up is where you grab your power dial. This is one of the changes from Zombicide for those paying attention, where you take your power dial and you move it up over here, and then boom, you have 2 power over there. You can use that power for a few things, very often to activate various cards, various abilities, but you can also use it to have a stronger attack, rolling more dice in your attack. You can lower your power, roll more dice, and have a stronger, more powerful attack, which can be particularly helpful when you're fighting against the zombie heroes. And the last action you can take from the main action you'll be engaging in, the last core action you're taking, there's going to be actions for picking up objectives, things like that, throwing this Avengers thing, all these other actions you can take. But the last main action is drawing a heroic trait. You're going to go ahead and you're going to grab one of these heroic traits, and you'll assign it to the character, giving them a little heroic trait that they can hold on to utilize. This is power up. You can discard it during your turn to perform a free power up action. So you went ahead and basically cashed in an action for later, effectively, because that'll help you get an additional action on a turn that you need an additional action, unless you kind of save an action, so to speak. But that's the core idea. You move around, you attack, you power up, you grab traits, you attack zombies, and you do all of that trying to stay alive, because when your turns are done, when all of your characters have taken their turns, you're going to have these zombies moving and then spawning. So, zombies on the board are going to go ahead and start the process of taking their actions. The zombies are going to move slowly but surely towards the characters, trying to get to the character that is closest, that's in line of sight. There's a whole sequence of how they move, but it's pretty simple to follow. The general idea is they're trying to kill you. If you follow that idea, you're usually going to be moving them correctly. Past that, you can read the rules for the exact way to move, but they're generally trying to kill you. That's the core idea. So as they move towards you, they're going to go ahead and try to take their actions that way, and any zombies that start their action in your zone, or if zombies have additional actions, they may also attack you. Now, unlike you, zombies don't roll for hits. They just hit you, which is bad considering the fact that most characters have 3 health, and there are very few ways to heal during the course of the game, so try not to be in zones with zombies, or try not to have zombies that have additional actions moving towards you, or try to make sure you don't actually ever draw the cards that say zombies take additional actions because you tried planning around that not happening and it did happen. Zombies are going to move towards you, trying to attack you and trying to kill you. If a hero ever dies, you all lose the game, so don't let that happen. There is no Avengers without there's no I in team or something along those lines somewhere here. But anyways, that's basically the core action, or the core sequence of the game. When the zombies are done moving, you'll go ahead and spawn, which means you look at the spawn points, starting with number 1, and moving around the board. And for each spawn point, you're going to draw a card. So look, we go ahead and spawn 2 runners. Let's go ahead and 2 runners in the first spawn point. We're going to take these down here, and this is where you'll look at your experience level. If any hero has moved to the yellow area, if any hero, meaning regardless of the fact that there might be additional heroes, but if any hero has moved to the yellow area, then what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and look at the other part of this card, and you're going to spawn 3 runners instead of 2. So you want to be very mindful as you play through this game to be leveling up everyone in congruence, or as in conjunction together. You want to level up everyone together as you play through this, trying to balance how and when you would cross those experience lines, because if you have a bunch of weak heroes and a single strong hero, but the game is reacting as if you're all strong heroes, that's bad. So try to all be weak or all be strong as you play the game. And that's the cycle. You will take 3 actions each. You will take your actions moving, walking, running, well, not just moving across the board, attacking, powering up, drawing traits, trying to deal with the various zombies. You do want to be mindful that moving out of a zone with zombies takes extra actions, so you can't simply just walk off when a zombie is there. The more zombies in your zone, the more actions it takes to move out, which is bad because that usually means you'll die pretty quickly because you're trying to run away and you can't, which means you're frequently trying to figure out, do I want to try to kill this zombie? Which, if I do, I'll get that action back because I won't have to spend an extra action to move. But if I fail, well, now I have no actions left to actually walk away, and now we have a problem on our hands. You're going to be taking all those actions, using your powers. Every character has their own separate set of powers as far as there are different powers. Everyone has a yellow power that gives an extra action, but past that, your blue, orange, and red powers are all completely unique per characters. Your attacks are kind of similar, but also unique per characters, and you're going to be dealing with various Marvel zombies, Marvel zombie heroes as well. The zombie heroes will occasionally show up as you draw through this deck over here. I don't even know where they are, but if you go through the deck, you'll eventually see a zombie hero show up, at which point you'll draw a zombie hero card and see, and we have Scarlet Witch showing up in this spawn point. And Scarlet Witch is going to have her own ability and her own health point. Often, I believe almost always, or at least the ones for this set over here, are going to be 3 health or more, which effectively means you need to roll 3 hits. If you're rolling on a 4+, well, that was 0 hits, and you did not do anything to Scarlet Witch, but you're going to need to deal that many hits, 3 hits on her, and potentially more, depending on the character, and additionally, they have an ability. Scarlet Witch has heroes must re-roll all hits while in her zone. That's not good. Scarlet Witch does not want to die. Shockingly, well, die more, I guess. She is a zombie, after all. But that is basically the game. That is Marvel Zombies, Heroes Resistance, and from there, let's go ahead and talk about my opinion of the game, review, and all that stuff, and this is where I will start with the caveat, I guess, as it were, that I love the Zombicide system. system. I'm a big fan of the Zombicide system in general. I have shelves of it behind me over here. I have Zombicide, Black Plague, Green Horde, all of that. I have the Wild West Undead or Alive one coming my way, and I have a full pledge for the Marvel Zombies coming my way as well. I like the Zombicide system. I have generally been a fan of it. I have also been critical of various iterations of the Zombicide system, especially when I thought some of them have gotten too easy. I felt that 2nd edition, as well as Invader, for me personally, felt easier than I would like, not giving me the Zombicide challenge I wanted. So I like the system, but I have had different opinions and thoughts around various iterations around that system. To that end, this is Marvel Zombies, Heroes Resistance. This is my opinions and thoughts specifically around this iteration, starting off with ease of play. Ease of play, this is easily the best Zombicide system to play so far. This rulebook, by far, is the most condensed version of a Zombicide rulebook I've read. I did read the entire thing just because I know the Zombicide system, but what differences are there, what do I have to be mindful of and all that, and this is easily the easiest Zombicide rulebook I've read, the most condensed, the most accessible. Still is going to be 15 pages of rules. Factor that in. You still have to understand how the system works. It is the kind of game where I can loop you in with like 5 minutes of rules and you're good to go. But if you're running the game, you need to know more. If you're running the game, you need to manage more and you have to take that into account as you go through it. But past that, as far as what I like, don't like, and can see others not liking, starting off with the fact that this one is hard. This Marvel Zombies is hard. Marvel Zombies in general, as well as Heroes Resistance, is a harder version of Zombicide, which I appreciate and enjoy, especially considering that this is designed to be the more publicly mass market available version, which is often where I feel that Zombicide might make it a little too easy or a little too easy to go through it, and they didn't do that here. This is a hard version of the Marvel Zombie system, one that challenges you through the course of the game to actually try to win, which is, it's a lot. It is a hard game, and I like the fact that it's hard. Additionally, I just like the general changes to the Zombicide system. I like the feat deck, the heroic traits, I should say. I like the heroic traits that the game has over here. These over here. I like the general cards that replace the equipment. I appreciate those. I like the unique powers in all the characters. All the characters coming into play with very unique powers. There's no rulebook reference in the back of all these powers. They're all printed on the card, and they're all completely and totally unique. I like the Marvel IP thrown on top of the Zombicide system. I like the zombie heroes. Those feel like a great version of the abominations from original Zombicide, and I like the challenge they present. When they enter the board, you have to be mindful of how to handle them. They're easier to deal with when you're not dealing with hordes of zombies. But when you have hordes of zombies and zombie heroes at the same time, that's often where you find yourself dying a little faster than you might like to in this game, and dying means you lose. I like the variety of objectives, the missions, all that stuff. This feels like the challenge of the Zombicide system with a Marvel IP, with changes to the system, with a bunch of things, and all while being hard at the same time. Overall, I like and enjoy what Zombicide gives you. I like that sense of having hordes of zombies overwhelming you. I like that sense of being able to figure out how to team up and work together to take down those hordes. I like the leveling up process of the game, where you're slowly getting more powerful, but you have to kind of pace yourself with everyone else, and then you can try to eventually get to a point where you are powerful enough that you can start taking down the enemies more, because even as the enemies level up with you, eventually you get to a point where the combination of your abilities and your strength just manages to take them out, and that is where this game thrives. I like the overall Zombicide game, and I like this version of the Zombicide system. As far as what I don't like, most of what I don't like is going to reflect on this specific version of the game. I don't like the fact that there's only 4 map tiles. There only are 4 map tiles in the entire box, which means it limits the scope and scale of the game. It limits the scope of the usual missions I'm used to seeing in a Zombicide game. Zombicide often does have 4 map tile missions, but it also then has 6 and 9 map tile missions as well, giving you much larger things you can do within this. The fact that it limits itself to only 4 map tiles within the box, it keeps the price point low, for sure. That's awesome. This is the most accessible version of Zombicide I've seen yet, while still being excellent. But it does mean the scope and scale is pulled back a bit. Additionally, I find miniatures easier to manage than standees. I mean, these standees are fine, and they look great, by the way. The color of them, they look great. When I actually opened this game for the first time, I was very excited. I was like, you know what? I think I'll like these standees more than I thought. The splash of color, I don't paint my miniatures. I thought it'd be great. But when you have a horde of these on the board, I personally, and this might come down to a personal thing, I personally find a pile of miniatures a lot easier to tell apart than a pile of yellow standees. I have found that when I have a bunch of miniatures in the same square versus when I have a bunch of standees in the same square, I often find myself making mistakes, and those mistakes can be critical. If you don't realize you have a runner headed your way, you might think that you actually are about to survive, when in reality you're about to die. And that's happened to me multiple times with these standees, so I think that they look great, I think they are solid, and this might be just my opinion, I don't know, but I have found that hordes of standees are harder for me to tell apart than hordes of miniatures. I also don't like the limited zombie hero variety. Now, the game comes with 6 heroes, and you're using 4, so there's some mixing and matching, and that's fine. But honestly, that's not even my complaint. If they had just given me 4 heroes, I think I'd be fine with that. I'm referring specifically to the zombie heroes, because the zombie heroes I have found that when I go through the course of a Marvel Zombies game, I have found almost always that all the zombie heroes come into play, and then you have to start cycling them as well, which means throughout the course of a game, I find that I'm seeing repeats of the same zombie heroes, which I don't love. I don't mind having just 4 heroes, because those are the heroes I'm committed to the whole game. But the zombie heroes are cycling already. I wish there were more zombie hero variety, because of the fact that, I mean, Iron Man might show up 3 times in one of the longer, harder sessions of this. You may well have Iron Man showing up 3 times, which is just too many times. When I kill zombie Iron Man, I want him to stay dead. I want a different zombie hero facing off against me. And then lastly, 3-player games feel kind of less ideal. My own personal way of playing Marvel Zombies almost always has been, sorry, that's not Marvel Zombies. My personal way of playing Zombicide almost exclusively has always been 2 and 3-player. It's not a game I dive into solo, not often. This one I have just for the sake of trying it, but it's not a game I often dive into solo. I find that I like the Zombicide system at 2 and 3 players. 4 feels a bit too much for what the game is. I like 2 and 3 is what I'm saying. Then that works great with traditional Zombicide, because traditional Zombicide has 6 characters. 6 characters, if you're playing with 2, you each control 3. And if you're playing with 3, you each control 2. The math just works out well for me. Over here, they only have 4 characters, which means I'm finding that this works great at 2. It works great solo. I don't want to play it at 4. And at 3 players, which is one of my more common ways of playing Zombicide, it feels a bit awkward controlling that extra hero. So I don't love the fact that it's down to 4 heroes, because you have to figure out how to navigate around that. I likely will be house rolling things as far as managing 3 heroes. I haven't yet figured out exactly, but practically speaking, and this is all untested everything, practically speaking, each hero has 3 actions, which means 12 actions total. If you give each hero 4 actions and limit yourself to 3 heroes, well then you still have 12 actions, but you do need to balance that against the fact that your heroes will be leveling up a bit faster and hitting that power creep. So you might have to figure out a way to make the zombies a little bit more annoying, whether spawning extra zombies, adding a spawn point. There's things you can do. I plan on experimenting with that, because a 3-player game when you're controlling 4 heroes, it feels a little anticlimactic. Either someone's controlling 2 heroes or you're sharing control of it, and neither way feels particularly amazing. As far as I can see others not liking, first of all, this is a dice fest of a game. You're rolling dice left, right, and center, and it absolutely, even aside from the luck of the dice rolling, this is a game where you can lose from bad luck alone. This is a game where you could be right up to the exit, and you're about to make your way through, and suddenly you draw, hey, extra zombie walkers, activate extra time. They're all going, that's actually, we have all walkers, then activate all walkers within range once. So you spawn walkers and activate them. You could find yourself drawing cards that result in hordes of zombies moving towards you in ways that they shouldn't, just by sheer luck of the draw. This game does have that aspect in play, and so be mindful of it, I guess. There's nothing really you can do about it. You're going to plan, when you're playing Marvel Zombies, you're going to be playing the odds, and the odds will generally be fine, and they'll generally work out well balanced and whatnot. But sometimes you play the odds and a bunch of extra fatties wander into your zone and take you out. Although they're no longer called fatties, they're called something else now. But that's basically as far as that. As far as final thoughts. Nope. Let's cover the last thing before final thoughts. Why do I like the full Marvel Zombies more? Because we haven't gotten to final thoughts yet, but I do like the full Marvel Zombies more. And I'll review that properly when I get it and all that stuff, but for right now we're reviewing Heroes Resistance. To that end, if you look at my main things that I don't like, the full Marvel Zombies experience is a greater scope and scale that addresses some of the things that I don't like about Marvel Zombies Heroes Resistance. The limit of only 4 map tiles is not going to be a problem in the full Marvel Zombies. The miniatures versus standees will not be a problem in the full Marvel Zombies. The limited zombie hero variety will not be a problem in the full Marvel Zombies. The 3-player games and the balance of characters, well, that will still be a problem in Marvel Zombies, and I will still be trying to house rule around that in the full Marvel Zombies. For me, Marvel Zombies Heroes Resistance, and this is where we'll move into final thoughts now, Marvel Zombies Heroes Resistance is an excellent version of the Zombicide genre. It's an excellent, accessible, cheap version that I highly recommend. If you are ever looking to pick up a Zombicide game, I recommend starting with this one. Start with this one and see if this gives you good feelings and vibes and if you enjoy the system. I think if you don't enjoy what this game has to offer, I think you're less likely to enjoy the Zombicide system in general. But if you do like this, then you manage to try this out at an accessible price point, have something that you can either keep or gift on to the next person, and then go to the next step of getting more Zombicide content, whether Black Plague, one of my favorite Zombicide games, or Marvel Zombies, my current favorite Zombicide game. And so to that end, I do highly recommend Marvel Zombies. It's a 4 out of 5 for me. I recommend it. I think it's great. It is one of my favorite Zombicide games. but I do think that it does compromise a bit on the full Marvel Zombies experience, just through the sheer scope and scale of what the game has to offer. So great game, 4 to 5, but yes, I do think that the $35 price point does come with a degree of compromise along the way. As far as other game recommendations, I'm not going to recommend Zombicide here. That's almost intuitive just from the fact of the conversation. Rather, I'll recommend, if you like the Marvel Zombicide system, I highly recommend checking out Cthulhu Death May Die. Cthulhu Death May Die is an excellent game that will give you similar vibes and is a nice, solid, all-in-one package. I don't have to sit there and try to figure out exactly how and what to recommend. If you get Season 1 of Cthulhu Death May Die, you're getting plenty of good content. Yes, there's more, but Season 1 is a good starting point off the bat. And then secondly, if you want more Marvel in a cheap, accessible, friendly Walmart or Amazon price point and all that, Marvel United is still a game I thoroughly enjoy. It's a lot more family friendly, a lot easier, but I just find Marvel United a very compelling experience with more Marvel miniatures and a lot of fun, very family friendly, and a game that I won't turn down regardless of who I'm playing with. Whether game group or this or that, I just enjoy Marvel United. In any case, and until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you found this video helpful, and as always, I hope you have a good one.